Okay, so we have the Redmi Note 10, the Note 10 Pro, the Note 10S, and now the Note 10 5G. What makes the Note 10 5G different and how does it compare? The Note 10 5G in terms of price comes after the regular Note 10 and before the Note 10S. So those are the two we would be comparing it to. Now, the first thing you're probably going to notice is one has 5G while the others don't, because of the name. But are you a fan of 5G or are you not a fan of 5G? So it's kind of clear to everyone that 5G isn't readily available in every single country. So, how much of a difference is that to you? Regardless of what you say, you would admit that having 5G in a smartphone is future-proof, which is something the 5G has, but the other two don't. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts in the comments about, the Note 10 5G and 5G. Now, one thing that enables 5G to be on the Note 10 5G is its chipset. So it's running the Dimensity 700 5G chipset, which is different from the regular Note 10 and the Note 10S. The Note 10 runs a Snapdragon 678 chipset, while the Note 10S runs a Helio G95 chipset. So firstly, I compared the Snapdragon 678 with the Dimensity 700, and this is what I found out. So in terms of single and multi-core performance tests, the Dimensity did better than the 678, even though the difference wasn't much. It also did better when it came to gaming as well as battery life. I would say they are very similar chipsets, but you gotta give the edge to the Dimensity. And the story became quite similar as well when we compared it to the G95. So in terms of CPU performance in both single core and multi-core tests, the Dimensity 700 did better, but when it came to gaming, because the G95 is a gaming chipset, it did better, but battery life went back to the Dimensity 700. So again, kind of similar storyline. That means also that the Note 10 5G so far is the better buy. Now, in the camera department, I would say things are different. So the regular Note 10 has a quad camera setup, same with the Note 10S. The Note 10 5G, on the other hand, has a triple camera setup. So the regular Note 10 has a 48 megapixel sensor, a main sensor, has an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and has a 2 megapixel depth and macro sensors. Now, the Note 10 5G has a 48 megapixel sensor, same as the regular Note 10, has a 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro, so it lacks that 8 megapixel ultra wide. The Note 10S, on the other hand, I would say is the best option in terms of camera. It has a 64 megapixel sensor, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, and depth. Photos on the three phones would look really similar, in my opinion. You can decide how good or terrible these photos are. Personal opinion, they're okay. And Lewis, what do you think about the camera? Now, before we continue, I want to say, please hit that subscribe button, perhaps hit that like button as well, because we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of September. And you doing that would help us out a lot. Plus, it's free. Also hit the notification icon, the bell icon, so that way you get notified when we release another video. That's all you gotta do. Back to the video. Now, one thing we haven't talked about is the display. It's a 6.5-inch 1080p LCD display on the Note 10 5G. But the Note 10, the regular Note 10, has a Super AMOLED 1080p display, slightly smaller at 6.43 inches, and that's the same with the Note 10S. The only thing is, the regular Note 10 comes with a 60Hz display, while the Note 10 5G comes with a 90Hz option. So it's kind of like you have to pick now. Do you want AMOLED or do you want a higher refresh rate? I think you should leave a comment. If you had the opportunity to pick, would you go for better display quality or would you go for faster or higher refresh rate? Now, let's talk about battery. Now, they all have the same milliamp hour, 5000, but different charging speeds. So the regular Note 10 supports 33 watt fast charging, while the Note 10 5G only supports 18 watt fast charging. But the Note 10S, just like the Note 10, supports 33 watt fast charging. So I would say you basically get the same usage time with these three phones, except one charges faster than the other. But then the question is, how much of a difference is that for you? If the phone can last you the entire day and you only have to charge, overnight, then is that a problem? Me personally, I used the Note 10 5G and the battery life was impeccable. It was a secondary phone for me, but like I said, battery life was pretty good, like super solid. Okay, so the last thing to talk about would be price. Now, like I told you, in terms of price, the 5G comes in the middle of the Note 10 and the Note 10s. The Note 10 base model you would buy for around $189 or $190. For the Note 10 5G, you would buy for $199 or $200. And then the Note 10s you would buy for $210-ish. So I would say, again, just like performance, they're all very similar in price. And to be honest, you'll be fine going with any one of them. Those are my thoughts on the Note 10, Note 10 5G, and the Note 10s. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll be down there ready to respond, and I'll see you when you see me.